Good afternoon now, rather than good morning. Again, I really appreciate your waiting the extra hour. I apologize for the change in schedule, but it appears that the keynotes run over significantly, and it looks like everything in the schedule has been moved by an hour. So I think anything else you were planning to do presumably has been moved by an hour as well. So just bear with us and adjust the schedule accordingly. I'm really here today to introduce you to our speaker, and before I do that, I just wanted to spend 1 minute talking about the topic of incentives and why are we opening the sales track with a session on incentives, and why do we think it's so important to make incentives part of the daily lives of the sales force and really a native part of the Salesforce application. So this is one of my favorite economics quotes that I've come across in the past few years in the field. Most of economics can be summarized in 4 words: people respond to incentives. In other words, the most direct route to people's behavior is to reward them, is to give them incentives. Generally, that's a pretty well accepted tenet. Most of us accept that to be a truth, and I assume most of you here accept that to be a truth by evidenced by your attendance today. Just walking around this conference, you can see the impact that incentives have. If you walk around the booths, you'll see that all of the activity tends to be positively correlated with what the giveaways are. The higher the percentage of the giveaway, the more lines you'll see and the more activity you'll see there. So we can all just walk around and see that the impact that they have on people's behavior. Something we ask ourselves a lot, at least in marketing when we're coming up with the giveaways and the tchotchkes and what we're going to offer people to stop by the booth, though, is do those incentives really work? Do they really drive the right behavior? Are we really bringing the right customers to our demo pods, swiping the cards of prospects who will make very good long-term customers for us and make good partnerships going forward? It's an ongoing debate that we have when we come to these events and we come up with what these incentives are. So I think identifying the importance of incentives is not nearly as hard as identifying what the important incentives are. So how do you really make incentives work? How do you really know that you can deploy them effectively, that you can see the desired behavior, and that you can get the returns that you're looking for? My speaker is going to go into great detail about a real live example of how she's deployed an incentive system to do some of those things. But 3 key guidelines that we're going to talk about today are, first and foremost, incentives need to drive something desirable. Now, that sounds simple enough, but history and business is fraught with use cases where incentives failed miserably. Again, one of my favorite examples from economics is in the 1860s, the British government used to ship prisoners off to different countries that they were colonizing. And it's not a particularly proud moment in British history, but they actually they hired captains of ships to ship prisoners to Australia. And their corporate message was to do everything to support the prisoners, to keep them healthy and well, and to deliver them safe and sound to the Australian ports. Unfortunately, the survival rate for those shippings was 40% for the prisoners, an abysmal 40%. And again, the government came back and said, we highly recommend that you improve this rate, and we admonish this behavior, and they had moral groups come in with recommendations, and the survival rate did not change until an economist named Chadwick actually stepped in, and he simply suggested, instead of offering the captain's check for every prisoner who walks onto the ship in England, why don't you simply offer them a check for every prisoner who walks off of the ship in Australia? And not surprisingly, the survival rate jumps up to 98%. And all of a sudden, the corporate message was clear. Make sure that you don't overcrowd the ships. Make sure that you invest the money to protect the health, to give them adequate food supply and water. So to my next point, incentives not only need to drive something desirable, but they need to communicate the behavior that you want to drive to the point of engagement. So it's all very well to sit in a back office or headquarters and come up with a corporate message that sounds good. It's about customer profitability. It's about long-term customer relationships. It's about new products or geographic expansion. But if the incentive plan just says volume and it just says sales revenue, that's what's going to happen. So what we have to realize is that the incentive plan that we give to the field is the corporate message that the field has. It is the way that we communicate our messages and what we expect the field to do at the point where decisions really get made, where they engage in deals, where they engage in customers. So keeping our incentive plan consistent with our corporate message, consistently testing for alignment there, and making sure that the behavior ties back to what the corporate messaging is a really key part of driving incentives going for in the industry today. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Laura Provenza of Brocade to come up and talk about how she's deployed an incentive system inside Brocade and put a communication system together that would actually get all of the messaging in a consistent and timely manner out to the field so that they could really drive change there. So please join me in welcoming Laura.
Thank you, Lorna. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to briefly go through the agenda for today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Brocade and my role at Brocade, our compensation processes prior to implementing Callidus, why we selected Callidus, the solutions that we implemented, and then review with the key takeaways. So I don't need to go through our little paragraph here, but in a nutshell, Brocade makes enterprise networking equipment and data storage. So my role at Brocade, I am the Worldwide Sales Compensation Manager. I have 7 analysts on my team in 3 locations geographically. We have 1,100 payees and 70 different job titles that we're administering. We roll out plans every 6 months. We distribute the plans every 6 months. And we modify our systems every 6 months. The processes prior to implementing Callidus were manual. We had hundreds of Excel spreadsheets, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with. We were not able to manage any splits, spiffs, bonuses, MBO programs. It was very painful. We did have an Access database, but it only had high-level data. We were not able to provide any transactional details back to the participants. The Access database was prone to manual errors, and there were absolutely no controls. Any of the 7 analysts could modify anything at any time, and we would have no visibility as to who did it. The inconsistency of the processes and the communications were across geographies and across all of our multiple locations where the analysts reside. The main issue we were trying to solve was that the data was scattered across multiple systems. There was absolutely no single source of truth. If an analyst was out, there was nobody that could step in to support their groups. Everything was on their local machines. We had an inability to track and report on real-time performance and to pay timely on that performance. We were not able to audit, and the accuracy of the data incoming and outgoing was scrutinized. We had poor communications. Resource, incentive, manual rollout of plans. As everybody knows, the manual effort takes a significant amount of time. Our plans were distributed, tracked, and audited via email. We had many challenges due to the auditing requirements and our inability to deliver local language documents where required. We also were not able to track our acceptances. There are inconsistencies in the communications to the field also. Each team was using different terminologies for the same sets of data. And we had our very lengthy iterative processes for creating the plan documents. The quota files that would be released to my team would be changed within a matter of days. We were constantly creating, fixing, repeating. The lack of flexibility in the tools that we had, Excel, our Access database, was very error-prone, and the manual data entry made it very difficult to pay timely. The challenge of having to roll out plans every 6 months added to this complexity. We had one internal resource within IT who was familiar with Access databases, and it was difficult to get that person's time. The continuous plan rollouts were very challenging to administer within our team. Our dispute resolution processes were very labor-intensive, very time-consuming. The information would come in via email or a phone call. We wouldn't be able to track the status effectively. And the consistent miscommunications and misinterpretations of the data provided led to delays in the resolution. We needed a system that would centralize and automate the administration and the rollout of the plans. We needed a system that integrated with Salesforce, that gave us the ability to give a single login to our teams so that they could access their reporting and their plan documents. We needed a system that would be able to adapt easily to the changes. We needed to reduce our cost of calculating commissions. We needed to be able to model, forecast, and accrue our expenses. So why we selected Callidus? Proven, reliable, market leading, those are all words that we came up with. We're a Brocade, at Brocade we're an on-demand customer. We do have it that it integrates with Salesforce. And the flexible, effective dating, modular plan design was a big win. So phase 1 of our implementation, we implemented TrueComp Manager, which is the incentive management platform where we can calculate the earnings for our quota plans, our bonuses, our spiffs, and our MBOs. We also implemented True Information, which is the reporting platform, and it delivers our reporting to the participants. So for the first time, they've been able to see their transaction details. And the comments that I usually get back are, they look pretty. Our phase 2, we implemented Callidus Plan Communicator. It integrates with Salesforce. Before we implemented Plan Communicator, the distribution of the plans would take multiple hours per payee. The creation, the distribution, and the tracking was manual via email. Now it takes just minutes per payee. Also, with the Plan Communicator, we have the ability to provide status reporting to the management teams. The knowledge that the Callidus consultants brought to the table made our implementation successful. We were able to consolidate our data feeds. We went from 8 different data sources down to 3 main data sources. All of the plans were designed modular with effective dating rules. We were able to roll out standardized reporting to all of the field participants. And the design plan documents were effective. We were able to deliver the local language documents as required. The implementation was smooth. The Callidus consultants understood our business needs, and they made recommendations on configurations during the processes. Our key benefits, we were able to consolidate. We had accurate data. We have reporting. And it's led to the confidence in the system and the processes being restored. The participants are able to review and accept their plans electronically in a timely manner. Historically, it would take a month or 2 after the start of the plan period before they could accept their plans. Now we've been able to roll them out within a matter of weeks. Substantial reduction in the time to roll out the plans has led to a faster go-to-market. The number of calls that I receive from sales managers with my guy needs to focus on selling and stop worrying about where his plan is has decreased greatly. It's given us the ability to improve our service levels and support. And my team has more cycles to provide the consistent and measurement reporting that the teams have been looking for. Our next steps, we're going to deploy the Callidus True Analytics platform. It's going to give us the ability to provide real-time feedback to management. We're also going to be able to assess our incentive effectiveness to quickly determine, are the plans really driving the right behavior? And we'll be able to provide performance reporting by geography, group, and participant to give the management teams greater visibility to their team's performance over a period of time. So I've completely blown through this in record time, I think. So the key takeaways: consolidate, automate, communicate. You consolidate. Excel systems, they can only take you so far. They're manual, they're time-consuming, and they are error-prone. Automate. You need to clearly define and automate all of your data creation processes. Manual processes and inconsistencies generate errors in payments. Communicate. You need to communicate with the field clearly and consistently. The Callidus Plan Communicator gives my team the tools to be successful with the plan communication processes. So with that, we will open it up to questions, if there are any. Yes?
Use the microphone, please.
Oh, they would like you to use the microphone that's set up there, please. In the middle of the room. There you go.
So I understand that Salesforce actually uses Exactly as a tool. Is that right?
I'm not familiar with what Salesforce uses.
Okay. Well, that's apparently, according to the expo floor folks who are selling Exactly.
Okay.
That's the truth. So I guess what I'm really asking is, why did you pick this tool versus what Salesforce was using or the other tools that are out there, because there are so many?
When we did the assessments and we did our business requirements documents and went to several different vendors, Callidus was ultimately the one that we were the most comfortable with and had the most, their plan designs are modular and you can effective date on just about anything. And that was very important to me because in previous systems that I've worked with, the effective dating has been the biggest struggle.
Okay, so, sorry, I hogged the microphone, but you had 7 analysts before you started, and it sounds like you gained a lot of efficiencies.
We have.
And do you still have 7 analysts?
I do.
Okay.
I do, yes.
So how did their role change if the efficiencies?
They've been actually able to do the analyst part of their role. So they've been able to provide more management reporting and really give that level of support that their geo leaders were looking for.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
You mentioned that you've done integrations with Salesforce.com.
Yes.
Do you guys use the closed deal, which is like a one amount for calculating incentives?
We don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Or do you do it based on, let's say, the billed revenue or something like that?
We do compensate on closed opportunities. That is not integrated with Callidus at this point. The only I understand, and maybe I need to let Lorna answer this, but we do integrate with Callidus for the plan communicator and also for the true information reporting. But Lorna, do you want to answer his question on whether the opportunities?
Oh, the opportunity data feed. Yeah. So there is a web service supported for that currently, but we don't have an out-of-the-box integration. We're actually working on that now, so that you can load Salesforce opportunities directly into the Callidus system and calculate on them. We're loading organizational data as well as opportunity data.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, did you come up with an ROI for this project? Clearly, people retention, Salesforce retention, the happiness of those people was, one of the soft benefits. But you didn't downsize your team at all, and so how did you come up with the ROI to kind of make this project work?
You're right. We did not downsize our team. The ROI was mainly around the hardware, software costs, and it's been a couple of years now. But it was the being able to provide information more timely, and we have moved to paying the sales reps monthly as opposed to the quarterly basis that we were when we were manual.
You mentioned converting to the local languages. Was that something built into the software, or was there translation necessary to get it out to those local languages?
I had to get the services of a translator to translate the documents for me, but as soon as I had those translated documents, I was able to load them into Callidus Plan Communicator with the templates, and they're delivered in those languages. Okay.
I'm in the process right now of rolling out, or getting ready to roll out Plan Communicator also, and we also are moving from just manually generated goal sheets. As you went through the rollout, did you encounter any just unexpected problems with people making the shift over to the new forms? Were there any lessons you learned that offer?
The reps have been very accepting because they're used to using Salesforce, so it just shows up as an additional task on their list, and they get an email reminder, and they get a nice little pop-up reminder when they log into Salesforce. So they were very accepting of the change. Thank you. Any other questions?
Where do you manage your organizational data? Do you manage that in Callidus and feed it over to Plan Communicator?
Yes. We manage it in Callidus, and then we feed it into Plan Communicator.
Integrated or manual?
Our first phase was manual, but it is going to be integrated within the next few weeks.
I'll just So we actually support, thank you, we actually support both processes, so it depends on where you keep your master data. So we have a pretty flexible configuration. So if people keep their master data on Salesforce for their sales organization, we'll support that. And if they want to do it on Callidus and go in that direction, we'll do a bi-directional support for that.
Bi-directional integration,
Sync, yeah, yeah.
including acceptance data,
Plan acceptance data, again, that's part of the web service. So you can actually write rules to say if people haven't accepted it, we want you to hold a payment. So yeah, so you can do that too.
for web service.
So yeah, and through a rule. So it's flexible because everybody has different logic for how they want to deal with acceptance and how it's sliced and diced. Some business units will hold for it, other business units won't. So even within the same organization, you'll get different requirements around the policy for what a non-accept means. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
What was your length of time to implement phase one from the moment which you said this is the right place to go after you vetted the different vendors to getting through phase one, to going to phase two, and to getting to where you are now?
We broke phase one up into two different groups because of our two main data sources. Group one took approximately 6 months, and then we were able to bring group two on within the next 2 months after that. So approximately 8 months start to finish. For phase one, yes. The plan communicator piece, it's taken 3 months. A little over a year, yes. They could be done simultaneously, though. Any other questions? No? Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think I'll just wrap up. Thank you so much, Laura, for that. I just wanted to offer some more information about Callidus. If you want to learn more about sales performance management and Callidus, we have a booth just outside of the customer campground out in the demo grounds, booth 716, and we are offering, keeping with the green theme, we are offering an electric motorcycle as a giveaway. So if you can stop by, ask one of our product managers or sales engineers for a demo. They'll be happy to show you the end-to-end sales performance management solution that we're supporting here. We do have the SaaS demos up and running, and we can walk through both the incentive system, the reporting and analytics that Laura talked about. We also have objective and quota management tools for deploying out to the sales force, and then of course the Force.com applications, including plan communications, which is the solution that Laura's been speaking about, and also a claims management solution on Force.com, which allows your reps to claim credits and make dispute claims in the Salesforce system as well. So please stop by the booth and talk to some of the product managers about a demo. And we have a couple other sessions I wanted to highlight for you. Tomorrow, our very own Leslie Stretch, our CEO, will be coming in this very room at 1:30 to talk about our Force.com suite and go through his approach to sales commissions management on Force.com by sales claims management, a workflow-based, a dialogue-based approach to handling commissions on the Force.com platform. So he'll be here tomorrow talking to you about his vision for that and where Callidus is investing on that platform. And then finally, on Friday morning, we have a Learn the Top 10 Sales Strategies for 2010, a recap of the top sales performance management mistakes that tend to get made at rollout time, and our tips and recommendations for a successful rollout and a successful sales year next year at the Salesforce campground, the customer campground there. And I believe that is where we are also announcing the winner of the electric bike. So please do come to that as well. The product management and the sales engineer team will be there as well to talk through some of the SaaS sales performance management solutions. And again, we'd love to bring you over for a demo. Any questions for me before we close? Okay, Laura, I want to thank you again for speaking on behalf of Callidus and talking us through your implementation. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great conference.